You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Welcome, everyone. Today's episode is the interviews from day 2 of the FMCA rally in March. The first half of the episode will be with Eric from Battleborn Batteries. Battleborn Batteries has a new intelligent system that Eric talks about, among other lithium battery topics. The second half of the episode is with Chris from Cummins. We found the discussion very interesting since we have never had an engine manufacturer on the show. It is informative even if you are not a Cummins owner. But before we jump into the interviews, I wanted to ask if you can please do us a favor and leave a rating on the podcast platform you are listening on. Also, if you enjoy the podcast, please share it with your RV friends. Lastly, please jump over to our Instagram and Facebook pages and like them. All of this helps the podcast grow, plus we really enjoy engaging with the listeners. Now, let's get into the interview with Battleborn.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to day 2 of the FMCA Convention here in Perry, Georgia. We're joined by Battleborn Batteries. Battleborn Batteries, as you know, is a big sponsor of our podcast, and they've been on the show several times, but this is Eric's first time on the podcast. Eric, could you kind of introduce yourself and just tell us what do you do there at Battleborn Batteries?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the podcast. Good morning to everybody. My name is Eric Carter, and I'm from Reno, Nevada. I work for Dragonfly Energy. We're the manufacturer of Battleborn batteries, and I do technical sales and support for the company. So my official title is technical sales specialist, but you know, I've been there for going on 4 years now, so I wear a lot of different hats on any given day. Like most good companies, you just have to have somebody that can be flexible and do a little bit of everything.
You're the guy I call when I have a question. That's how I know you.
I pull answers out of a hat. So, I just solve problems, I guess, would be a good way of putting it.
Now, most people know your over company or your parent company name is Dragonfly Energy. Most people know the brand Battleborn Batteries, but you guys do a lot more than just batteries now. Can you kind of tell us what Battleborn Batteries does?
Yeah, we try to limit the confusion by our name, but yeah, to kind of try and set things as straight as we can, we operate as Dragonfly Energy, and so that's the name on the door of the business. That's the name on the paycheck I get every couple weeks. So yeah, as Dragonfly Energy, we do a number of things, but the primary focus is battery manufacturing. So we at the root of everything are a battery technology company, and we were founded to manufacture the highest quality lithium iron phosphate batteries we can. And we do that under the brand names of both Dragonfly Energy and Battleborn Batteries. And we've really distinguished those two lines to say, okay, Battleborn is where we put our marketing efforts. That's recognizable. That's been now around for quite a number of years in the DIY space, and it's our retail line of batteries. And then Dragonfly Energy, well, you can't go online, you can't shop and buy one of those, and essentially, it gives the OEM, the RV manufacturers, the boat builders, a brand of battery with the same quality and the same reputation, but something where they feel confident that somebody can't go out and shop and say, well, I see this battery online for X amount cheaper than what you have it selling to me with my new RV. So that's how we distinguish the two. Along with that, we've started to try and develop sort of a bumper-to-bumper solution for mobile power systems, for stationary power systems. So in the past 6 months, we've acquired a company called Wakespeed Offshore that was based up in the Pacific Northwest in Washington, and they build this. Well, I say they, but now we build this fabulous advanced alternator regulator, which will allow for essentially charging from a secondary alternator under the hood, from a boat's engine, from a number of different sources. Beyond that, we're trying to develop more and more products where we can start to pivot a little bit from our primary industries. So we really kind of like grew in the RV space, the marine space, the off-grid solar space, and now we see all these other opportunities with work trucks, with heavy trucks like a semi-truck, where they're using batteries. They're essentially using these vehicles like a lot of RVers would, and they've got similar demands and similar loads. So we're saying, well, why can't we develop a system for X, Y, or Z? And between the batteries and some of the charging devices and some of the Victron Energy product that we stock and sell, we're now basically a bumper-to-bumper solution to provide a full power system.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize just how much R&D you guys do on your own. You have a full R&D department.
We have a lab.
Yeah.
I mean, we have battery scientists that work for us. It's staggering sometimes to go over there and see what they're doing. I'm like, wait, I work with people that wear lab coats for a living every day, and they're behind multiple sets of doors doing stuff with they're in these big machines, big housings, trying to essentially develop the next evolution of lithium batteries, and we've effectively gotten to that point where we've been granted, global patents that you can now go online and research for solid state battery cells. And for us, it's the continued push to say, hey, we're more than just a company that takes a battery and puts it in a box and ships it out, and you have a great experience in your RV. We want to continue to push what we're capable of doing as a company, and it's through efforts, out here selling batteries, out here answering questions at the FMCA rally or a number of different rallies that we get to, that continues to help us fund the evolution of battery technology. And it's something that we're very well aware that we're going to obsolete our current technology at some point, but that's always the goal. We don't want to be driving the same RVs or cars from the 50s.
Right.
We want something modern like a Tesla, or at least a lot of us do. And I think the same should be true with a battery, where we can have something that is as space age and futuristic as we can possibly offer.
Can you tell us, you mentioned, your time here at the FMCA convention, getting to talk to a lot of people. You guys were super busy yesterday, we saw. Can you tell us about the relationship you have with FMCA?
Absolutely. We've got a great relationship with the FMCA organization and their staff. And I think for me personally, this is the third FMCA show I've attended and exhibited at. So I've been in Minot in North Dakota. I've been to Tucson last year, and now here. So our relationship, so FMCA, they've chosen Battleborn Batteries as their official lithium battery of the club, and we come in an effort to, act as a business and try to sell some product and try to support our customers that are currently using Battleborn batteries. And it always makes our day when they give us some experience in how well the batteries are working. But ultimately, we want to come and we want to support the club because it's a fabulous organization. They do a great effort in just being, a big player in the RV community, and it's fun for us.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people should kind of expect from you guys, and something that made me lean towards getting Battleborn batteries when I was looking at lithium, is that you're happy just to educate people. It's not just about making the sale. So that's the part I like about you guys, is that you're not, if somebody doesn't buy a battery from you, you're still happy to educate them on the technology and what they may need, what might suit them well in their RV.
Absolutely. I think it's a core philosophy of what we do is, we're there to educate. We're more than just a voice on the other end of the phone, kind of giving you lip service. So, for us, we've been set a very high standard, and those of us that have worked for the company for a number of years, we continue to try and strive for that high standard. We won't accept anything less. And, for us, it's something that we're very proud in. I'm very thankful I get the opportunity to put a Battleborn logo on every day and go to work, represent the company, represent the efforts of Dr. Dennis and Sean and what they started to build in a garage a decade ago, and just continue the push to build the best battery in the world and provide the best customer support and service that we can.
Jumping off that, building in the garage type of starting here in the U.S., what does it mean for you guys to be like an American-based company and giving jobs and employment to America?
We talk about it a lot on the phone, over emails, and we tell people that, there's something that you can look at about us as a company that sort of distinguishes us from some of our competition, if you want to use that term. I don't know the official count, but we're probably 175 employees that we currently have at Dragonfly Energy, and that's anything from the folks that are on the phones, my colleagues that are offering customer support, the folks that build the batteries, the folks that box and ship the batteries, the battery scientists, the executives. It's across the board. And what I always try and relay as a anecdote or story to our customers is, look, if we were a company that was having batteries built elsewhere, overseas, and container loads shipped to us, and then we just take them out of container and drop them in a cardboard box and ship them out, we can do that with a dozen or a couple dozen people. So we don't need 170 employees to do that. So for us, the goal is, we want to be that traditional American manufacturer. We want to be hands-on with our product. We want to know exactly what's going into every battery, and for us, that's where the education part comes in. That's how we know the product so well. That's how we know the mobile power systems like we do, and we can provide the level of service that we do. So it's something that we're so immensely proud of, to employ so many people and just to have such a wide range of employees with their talent under one roof.
So how can upgrading to a lithium battery change the camping experience?
That's a loaded question. We could talk about that all day. And both of you have the experience to really know where we're coming from and know why lithium is such a great choice. It's really going to elevate the experience from what lead acid is. But I'm always one to stop and pause for a second with a potential customer and say, look, this isn't for everybody. There needs to be intent for you to need lithium batteries. So if you're off grid at all, if you're dry camping, if you're boondocking, even if you're just doing a night in a Walmart, or you're stopping for a couple hours at a rest area and heating up some coffee and making some lunch, there's a benefit across the board. And I think the immediate thing we talk about is the what we call the cure for battery anxiety. So you don't have to worry about how you're discharging power from your batteries. You don't have necessarily a discharge floor where you have to worry, have I pulled too much power from my lead acid battery? Have I damaged it? So there's this benefit of more usable power, lighter overall weight in the RV with a lightweight battery, where we at least half the weight from your traditional lead acid battery. There's a quicker charge time. There's an advantage of no maintenance, no terminal scrubbing, no watering the batteries. So the list goes on and on. But for us, we always try to highlight those primary things where, hey, do you want more power? Do you want faster charge time? Do you want one less hassle in the RV that you have to worry about in terms of maintaining the batteries? Well, then let me show you what I got, because this is certainly going to be an advantage over anything you're using now.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people think of maintenance-free as a physical thing, but maintenance-free is also a mentally freeing experience too with the batteries, because you're not even thinking about them. They're just in there, they're just working, and a lot of times you forget that they're even there because you don't even have to think about them.
Yeah, I mean, what greater experience could you have than saying, well, I invested and I set it up, and I set it up right, and now I can just sort of forget about it. And you go out and you have a step closer to a worry-free camping trip. And what's better than that? So it's certainly something that our efforts try to get you to that point where we can validate the effectiveness of all the charging components, and we can really make sure that you're going to go out and have a great time.
And one thing I hear a lot of people say when I talk to them about my particular system is that they are hesitant to get lithium because they think they need to add a bunch of solar panels and all this extra stuff, but that's really not the case with your batteries, isn't that correct?
Yeah, not at all. So lithium batteries, it's again, we didn't reinvent the wheel here. It's still a battery. It still stores power. It charges, it discharges. And I fall back on that a lot. It's like, look, it's still a rectangular box. It still stores power. We haven't changed things that drastically. So whether you want to plug in and power the battery, charge the battery from shore power from a generator, if you want to add solar, by all means, absolutely. If you want to charge from a vehicle, if you want to use a water wheel, if you want to use a wind turbine. I mean, there's a lot of choices out there. What it ultimately boils down to is, let's identify how you want to prioritize using the battery. Every customer uses power differently. Every customer charges a battery differently. If you're on the road every single day, then we're going to prioritize charging from the vehicle or maybe charging from solar, as opposed to you stopping and plugging in for a long period of time to charge up. So it all boils down to these different use cases and letting us identify that. And really from there, it's a pretty quick process to validate how much power you need, how you want to charge it, and how you best want to track the power. And from there, that's the makings of a system.
Yeah. I always tell people too, you can always start small and then build upon that system. I mean, that's exactly what Sabrina and I did. We started with just 2 Battleborn batteries, and then we eventually added some solar, then we added more battery. Like the options are there for you. You don't have to go, all in. You don't have to figure it all out immediately either.
Right.
You guys help with that process as well.
Right. Start conservatively and grow the system from there. What's really cool about lithium batteries is that you've got this ability to expand the system over time. So you don't have to make this decision in a moment to say, all right, here's what I'm doing. Maybe I don't need it all now, but maybe it'll work well for me in 2 or 3 years. No, put a couple batteries in now. Go out, use them. You can add batteries to that original install over the first handful of years.
Yeah, because the way you travel changes over time. Situations change. You might go from full-time to part-time. You might go from part-time to full-time and realize, oh, well, now I do want to change my system up, but it's not a big deal to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things we always talk about in our presentations is, hey, everybody's a lithium battery user, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
And look at our table in front of us. I mean, how many lithium batteries do we have on this table between laptops and power packs and smartwatches on our wrist and cell phones in our pocket? It's hey, you may not understand a lithium battery, but we can quickly get you to understand based on your usage of personal electronics or what have you. It's like, hey, do you enjoy the advantage of what your laptop gives you, of having a lightweight battery that can run all day? And when you run that thing down, you plug it in and it charges up within an hour or two.
Yeah.
And you can do that for how many years? Yeah. Year after year after year. So, we can sort of demystify the whole lithium battery thing by just saying, look, you've got experience whether you have understood that before or not. And, through a couple minutes of just education, we can get you feeling pretty good about maybe wanting to put a lithium battery in your RV, in your boat, what have you, and knowing that there is going to be these distinct advantages that you can have as opposed to lead acid.
Now, I know another fear that people have is doing the installation, and it is a big fear for people, especially, we're dealing with, especially if you're installing a whole system, you're dealing with a lot of power there, and if you don't know what you're doing, it could be a little dangerous. But you guys have a trusted network of installers as well that work closely with you, that that consult with you and are very knowledgeable about what products you provide.
We do, yeah. We work and we try to curate a list of folks that know mobile and stationary power systems. They understand lithium battery install along with inverted power, solar panels, alternator charging, down the list. So for us, it's part of that, sort of advisement process is not only getting you to understand how the battery works, but it's also making sure that you're comfortable if you're taking this on as a DIY project. You know that there's some risk involved. You've made an investment, and there's certainly steps to making sure that the investment's going to work for you, and you're protecting it. So if we have to, we'll take those steps. We'll identify some installers that you can work with. We'll get you in touch with them, and it's only for the better. For us, we're willing to work with you no matter what, but we want it to be the best experience possible through that install.
And I know Kenny just had, I'm sorry if I'm speaking for you, Kenny, but he just had Jordan from Echo One Adventures, who's one of your installers, do his system, and I got to see it for the first time yesterday, and it is so nice. That install is so sweet.
It's clean.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan does a great job. I'm glad we're giving him a shout out because he's got it so together. I don't want age to be a determining factor for your installer, but for him being 25 or 26 years old, I wish I had my life halfway as much together as he does now when I was 25. But he's great. I really love working with Jordan. He's certainly one of my preferred guys to send people to in the Albuquerque area. And, we've got folks like that all over the country that will give you a wonderful experience. They're incredible installers. They could be, folks that have been doing this for just a handful of years, or they've been, providing support for mobile power systems for decades. So it's a great list, and we're always happy to share some of those folks. And maybe there's not somebody in your backyard, but if you're, willing to drive for half a day or a day, we can get you the experience that will really make that trip worth it.
Yeah, and he's just an example of, I think, the quality of installers that you guys have as a network around the country.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got one of our mobile installers with us at the show here, Brad Nash from Sunseeker Mobile RV. So again, we have folks that are fixed location. We have folks like Brad who are mobile. Jordan's kind of a hybrid of that, where you can either travel to him or he can, kind of travel around the state of New Mexico and provide service, and he even gets to some shows. So yeah, I'm not going to say the options are endless, but there's, there's, I would say, dozens of folks on our curated list that we know that we can line you up with and really get you a system that works great for years to come.
And if somebody was going to do a DIY, can they give you guys a call as they're kind of in the process and ask you questions? There's somebody that they can talk to?
Absolutely. There's a team of 12 of us that are on the phones Monday through Friday that are answering emails just about all hours of the day and night.
Okay.
And yeah, our goal is, to try and give you that best support that we can for the install. And, like with anything, there's a range of experience in our office. So you'll get folks that have been hands-on with installs. You'll get folks that are only going to be able to give you kind of a conceptualized experience. But at the end of the day, we want to get you the right answer. And that's something we'll always strive for.
So you guys are around for after the sale?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. This isn't just a take the money and run sort of scenario. This is, we're here long-term for support. And, I still email regularly with folks that I met back in 2019 at the first FMCA show I went to. And they're still, thinking about expanding their system or making changes to it. So it's an ongoing process, but it's something that we're always going to be around for.
Can you talk a little bit about the new system you guys have, the intelligence system, and what is that all about?
Yeah, so we announced down at the Tampa RV Super Show in January some new technology that we have been working on in-house for quite some time. So we're calling this new technology Dragonfly Intelligence. And to really kind of dissect it and break down what it is we've got new battery technology, and this technology will be built in our BMS, our battery management system. And what this will offer is it'll offer a wireless mesh network in each and every battery that we build with the Dragonfly Intelligence system. And what that means is that we'll have the ability now for these Dragonfly Intelligence batteries to communicate between one another. Yeah. And we'll also have some companion pieces like our Dragonfly Hub that will give you functionality to tap into your system. You'll be able to see the entire system as a whole, sort of like the experience you'd get with a shunt-based battery monitor, where you can say, well, here's my state of health, here's my state of charge. But along with that aggregated information, we can also go a little bit more granular, and we can see individual battery state of health and state of charge now. We can set it up to where you can connect, whether it's phone, laptop, tablet, and you can get push notifications if something's going on with your batteries. So it can alert you and say, well, battery number 2 in your 400 amp hour string is low voltage. We need to address that by individually charging it or pulling out of the system. That wireless mesh network, it's going to give you probably near 100-foot range from the battery's installed location. With the additional install of the Dragonfly hub, if we can feed that a active internet connection, then you can now take that information and have it anywhere in the world. Yeah, so you can basically log in, phone, tablet, laptop, and you can see exactly what's going on. The other really cool feature that I like with this hub is that we'll have the ability to interact with other networks. So if you own an RV and it's got Firefly as an energy management system, Silverleaf or Spider, if you've got Victron equipment, we can now provide Cat6 communication, and we can get not only battery information, but complete system aggregation for information as far as what's going on, and some higher level of oversight and control.
So optimum monitoring for optimum performance, really.
It's really what we've wanted to do for a number of years now, and the whole COVID thing messed that up with supply chain issues. And for us, we like to release something and do it once and do it right. Yeah. So we didn't want this to be a false start where we said, yeah, we've got this new technology and it's great, and here's 1,000 batteries, and by the way, you can't get any more for another 6 months or a year. Right. So for us, we're in the finish line is in sight. We're close to having our first batch of, let's call them prototype batteries, first few hundred built. And then, from there, hopefully by late spring to early summer, we'll be in full production of this new battery and new technology, starting smaller scale with our 100 amp batteries, and then pretty quickly scaling up to include our higher capacity batteries and some other new products that we have in the wings that we're waiting for.
I might have missed it. Will this be Dragonfly and Battleborn batteries?
This will, yeah.
Okay.
So it can sort of be, it doesn't have to be brand specific. Okay. So for us, when you look at Dragonfly and you look at Battleborn, really the only difference between those two lines that we build is the color of the lid and the decal that we put on the battery. But if we dissect back from there, everything internally is the exact same. Okay. So this will be an upgrade and an entirely new BMS that we're working with this wireless mesh network module that we're including on the BMS. And then from there, we've got that opportunity to really brand it as we see fit, and either sell it to an RV manufacturer or sell it to the end user for install.
Okay. Well, I believe that's all of our questions, Eric. I don't know if you have anything to add. What did we miss that you want to talk about?
Oh, I won't know what we missed until probably later tonight when I sit up in bed and go, wait, why didn't we talk about that? No, I just appreciate the opportunity. I hope for anybody listening, you can tell that myself and all my colleagues, we're extremely passionate about what we do. It's hard to make discussing batteries an interesting topic sometimes. I'm going to go give a presentation later today for an hour and try to keep people entertained about the prospect of lithium batteries. So it's not the sexiest topic to always talk about, but it's something that provides great benefit to the end user. It does provide a great camping experience if you are one to want more secure, more reliable power, whether you're a boondocker, a dry camper, you're off-grid, or you're just looking for a slightly more reliable experience when you stop at the rest stop and want to just brew a pot of coffee. We can provide those answers from A to Z, and really that's, I think, the point that we like to make. So I just want to say thanks to both you guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys and just kind of share our love for all things batteries and RVs.
And if anybody's interested, they're here at the convention. They're in the exhibitor hall, I think 500 or 600?
We're booth 601. We're right on the corner of the 600 row. And myself and my colleague Mason will be here through Saturday answering questions. And, if you're not here, give us a call, and we're always happy to chat through any questions you have.
All right. And if you're not here at the show, you can always go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
That's exactly right. We've got a full website, blog, and more.
All right. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thank you, guys.
Hey everyone, before we get this episode started, we wanted to let you know that Sean and I have been asked to attend FMCA's 106th International Convention and RV Expo, March 15th through the 18th in Perry, Georgia. We will be putting on a live daily show every morning for the full event. So if you're going to be at the show, be sure to stop by our booth and say hi.
We want to thank Echo One Adventures for sponsoring our trip to the FMCA convention. Echo One Adventures is a company that does electrical installs in all types of RVs and rents travel trailers fully outfitted for off-grid living. To learn more about them, go to echo1adventures.com. Thanks again to Echo One Adventures for their support.
Welcome back, everybody, to Perry, Georgia, here at the FMCA Convention. We are joined by Chris with Cummins. And Chris, could you just kind of introduce yourself and tell us what your role at Cummins is?
Sure. My name is Chris Crowell. I work for Cummins in Columbus, Indiana. That's our headquarters.
Okay.
Been with Cummins about 35 years. The last 10, I've looked after our engine business for fire trucks and recreational vehicles.
35 years. You just started.
Just started. Yeah.
It's going well?
They haven't discovered me yet. Oh, we're on camera.
So can you tell us briefly, what does Cummins do for RVers?
So the big thing that we like to say is that we power the RV lifestyle. So whether you need a push, like with a diesel pusher, you need to pull a towable with a Ram pickup and a Cummins, or you need power while you're at your campsite through our Cummins owned generators.
Okay.
Very cool. And about how many locations are there for Cummins, like service centers across the U.S.?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in the U.S. and Canada, we have 5,500 locations. Now, not all of them will work on RVs.
Okay.
I would say that number's closer to about 2,000. And then we actually have, like, I would call 200 specialists that just focus on Cummins engines and generators. We call those our Cummins sales and service locations. And of those, we actually have about 70 of them that will actually go beyond just the engine and generator, but do chassis work, do work in the house, and have a lot of amenities that cater to the RVer.
Okay.
Now, what chassis are you guys on?
That's a great question. So today, there's primarily 5 chassis that we power in the RV business. So on the Class A's, it would be Freightliner Custom chassis. Okay. We also work with the Shift Group with the Spartan RV chassis. Tiffin, who make their own Power Glide chassis. Newell makes a Class A chassis. And then also on the Class C's, Freightliner again, and Navistar. So those are the primary players from a chassis perspective.
So they would be the Super C's.
Super C's, yes, sir.
Okay. I always hear that they have like the best ride out of everybody is the Super C. I don't know if it's true, but that's what people tell me that have them. They're like, you guys don't know how good we have it over here.
So yeah, I think one of the best parts, and it's more a function of the chassis design, is you're riding on a cushion of air, right? Yeah. You're on an air ride suspension. So it's the same stuff that if you're moving your furniture, you want an air ride trailer to haul your, valuable things. And you're in the same situation in a Class A or some of the Class C's.
And does the I'm sorry, I'm really ignorant about engines. So does the chassis determine which Cummins engine goes on it, or how does the engine matching with the chassis and the RV itself go?
It's actually a good question. So we work very closely with each one of those companies. The size of the engine sort of determined by the weight of the coach and how much performance is required. Okay. So like in some of these larger coaches that may weigh north of 35,000 pounds, we have engines that go up to 605 horsepower. Wow. Okay. And then even on some of the smallest ones, we'll go down to say 200 horsepower.
Oh, okay. And torque changes for them as well?
Right. So kind of from a lineup perspective, we have our 6.7. So a lot of people are familiar with the Ram pickup. Mm-hmm. So that 6.7 liter displacement, mm-hmm. that would be our entry level diesel engine for an RV.
Okay.
And that will go anywhere from 300 to 360 horsepower, but up to 800 foot-pounds of torque. So torque does matter. That's what gets things rolling and keeps your speed as you're going up a grade. Then we move up to a 9-liter engine. We call that the L9, and those are typically 360 to 450 horsepower, but a significant jump in torque, up to 1,250 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh, wow.
So 50% more torque, and you can feel that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So then we move up to a 12-liter, only one rating of that one. That's called the X12. So that's 500 horsepower, 1,700 foot-pounds of torque. And then the big boy is the X15, 605 horsepower, 1,950 foot-pounds of torque. It doesn't believe that hills exist.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should go up a hill, no problem.
I didn't realize you guys had that many different lineup of engines in that's just for the RV line.
Right, just for the RV line. I would say overall, globally with Cummins, we have about 180 different models.
Get out of here. Wow.
Really?
Yeah, so all the way up to 3,500 horsepower engines that would be about the size of an RV.
Wow.
And how often do you guys? Sorry, Sean.
No, go ahead.
How often do you guys release like a new engine for the RV industry, or are these like staple engines and they're just kind of what they are? Or?
So generally, what drives new engine development are emissions changes. For example, as you go back in 2007, that was a change by the EPA. 2010, 2013, 2017, 2021. So we're constantly having to evolve the engines to meet those tighter standards, but we also bring in customers and talk to them about what their needs are for that specific market. For example, that 605 horsepower engine, these big 18-wheelers that are rolling out there, that's the X15 is the most popular engine for heavy-duty trucks. So we'll take something very similar to that and install it in an RV.
Oh.
So something like the addition of DEF, would that change some of the engineering in the engine build?
Yeah, it's a good question. So DEF started about 2010, okay, and that was a function of a reduction in oxides of nitrogen. So generally speaking, oxides of nitrogen, if you've seen pictures of big cities with a yellow haze, they try to control that to improve air quality. So by using DEF, we were actually able to tune the engines more like they were before all the emissions equipment. So we can inject the DEF in the exhaust system, and it actually cleans the emissions in the exhaust system and gives us a lot more flexibility on tuning the engine.
So the DEF doesn't actually interact with the engine per se, but the tuning of the engine is affected greatly by the DEF.
Correct. So we have NOx sensors on the exhaust system. So these systems are pretty much closed loop, and if it senses that NOx levels have increased, then we can dose some DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, into the exhaust and reduce those oxides of nitrogen. So basically all you're getting out of the tailpipe these days is carbon dioxide, water, and nitrogen, which we're breathing a large percentage of right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you said a lot of changes are determined by EPA standards and things like that. Do they give you guys a little bit of like warning? And I mean, how do they spring these changes on you?
Yeah, so sometimes it's a little shocking, but several years ago, the EPA came out with an approach where they say we need to give engine manufacturers at least 3 years to develop a new product. Okay. So as soon as those standards are put in place, then we're going to work. So we've been working on 2024 product for about 2 years now.
Okay.
We've already started work on our EPA 2027 product because that rule just became final recently. January's actually December-January timeframe.
So they give you a little bit of time because R&D is just very time consuming.
It's incredible. We'll spend $1.5 billion to bring this next generation of products to market.
You said that with a B?
With a B.
Wow.
With a B.
Wow, that's an expensive endeavor.
That's even more than Brazilian dollars.
Wow. And so when you guys build a new engine, what's the testing process? Is it all done in a lab, or do you actually put it out on the road and test it that way as well?
It's a great question. So we'll generally start out in dynos. just to start to evolve the technology. We'll end up with thousands of hours in a dyno before we even install the first engine into a test vehicle. We'll then pick anywhere from 20 to 50 different vehicles where we will repower with the newer engine, and we try to pick very diverse applications. So cement mixers, high altitude, high temperature, low altitude, extreme heat. We will follow and monitor those engines very closely. By the time we're done, we actually joke around that we measure that in the number of trips to the moon. Okay, but it's millions.
Wow.
It's millions.
That's how much you're doing, though.
Yeah, generally 3 to 4 million miles.
So they're pretty well tested before they hit the market.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, does it go through any consumers' hands, like pre-testing wise? Do you hand them out or anything like that?
So those field test vehicles are actually customer
Oh,
units.
they are?
We want to
Oh,
put it
okay.
in real world service, doing the things that they do. So we do find a lot of things, things that customers say, well, that's nice, but it sure would be nice if it did that, or I need this parameter, or I need it to behave differently. Then we can take all that feedback in and work on our tuning.
Okay,
Well, that's great. We love it when companies do that. Let customers put their hands on it before they actually release it to the public.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that can be done by the manufacturer that maybe they don't see it the same way that a customer would. So it's a great benefit to be able to do that.
Absolutely, and we get a ton of great feedback from those customers. We even do things like oil sampling, fuel economy reporting. So these all get an assigned engineer to follow that vehicle so that we get as much learning from that experience as we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has Cummins been around?
So we were started in 1919, Clessy Cummins.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's over 100 years now, right?
That's great.
So it's been very successful for us. The first run wasn't as successful. The very first engine that Clessy released actually was offered in Sears and Roebuck, and it came with a money-back guarantee, and it was an irrigation pump drive.
Okay.
So farmers used it, and then at the end of the irrigation season, they returned them for full credit. Not necessarily the best business model.
That was probably a gasoline engine, not a...
No, so back then, everything was pretty much fuel oil, what they called it, diesel fuel.
Yeah. Okay.
But today, we run on a number of different fuels. So anything from, obviously, diesel. We are developing a gasoline engine at this point. We've run natural gas engines since the 80s, and we're also working on things like hydrogen and propane. So these are exciting technologies, right? All to help toward decarbonization, reduction in greenhouse gas.
That's excellent. Oh, that's great. And currently, where are the engines being built?
So we have plants around the world, probably over 70 different plants. We typically build in the area where we're going to be selling the product. Okay. So it helps with transportation costs and understanding the market, kind of standard emissions. So for the U.S. automotive market, including RVs, fire trucks, over-the-road trucks, our smaller engines, that B6.7 and the L9, are built in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Okay.
The larger engines, the 12 and 15 liter, are built in Jamestown, New York.
Okay.
And then for the Ram pickup, we actually build those in Columbus, Indiana, at the headquarters. Not in the office building, obviously.
Yeah.
How often? I'm just curious. Like, how often do you go to the factory or the production line? Are you ever in there just to see what's going on? Sean and I always like factory tours and stuff like that. I'm not sure, is that something that you do?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So I'm not there on a regular basis. I actually work out of my home, but I do make it to some of our manufacturing plants. I'd say 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, that's a lot.
I think they like to keep me away because I also like to provide service to customers, and they always check my pockets as I'm leaving. Yeah.
So for people that we're here at the FMCA convention, and you guys have a lot of people on site. What do you do at these conventions and rallies for people?
So our number one mission is to help people enjoy what they have. So we mostly educate at these. provide seminars on maintenance and operation. We're answering questions. We'll probably talk to, I'll bet yesterday we talked to 300 to 400 people that had questions and just weren't sure about how do I maintain it, or I heard this, is that true? But we're blessed at this show because our local service location out of Forest Park, Georgia, actually sent an army down. So we have 5 technicians here. We've got 3 service riders. We've got 3 parts people. And we're mainly doing that just to make it more convenient for the RV consumer.
So you can do some maintenance stuff right here on site for
Right.
people.
So, yeah, exactly. So they've been doing some generator oil changes. If someone has a check engine light, they've gone out and read some of those just to give operational guidance to the customer. Now, obviously, we're not going to do a major repair here on site, but fortunately, our Forest Park, Atlanta operation's only about an hour and 15 minutes away.
Okay.
Depending on Atlanta traffic.
And then for anybody, yeah, that's a big difference. If for anybody that's like watching us or listening to us at home and they want it service done, what's the easiest way for them to find a service center? Do you have like a locator device on your website?
It's a great question, yeah. So you can go to Cummins.com and there will be a locator for parts and service. If you're more of a telephone person, you can call 1-800-CUMMINS. That's a 24/7 number. And the nice part about that is you can interact with an individual to say, okay, what is your product? Or I'm headed this direction. What is the next location on my way?
Nice.
Of the 2,000 different options. So it just gives people a lot of flexibility in making those decisions.
Especially when full-time and if you're
Absolutely.
living in your RV full-time.
Absolutely.
Now, when you guys are also known, besides the power plant, you guys are also known for the generators, onboard generators inside a lot of RVs. How long have you guys been doing that? It's been a long time?
Forever.
Okay.
Yeah, forever. So actually the Onan generators, the Cummins Onan generators, were actually installed even before we started seeing a big push for diesel powertrains.
Oh, really?
So they've been around, I should know this, but we've built a couple of million generators for the RV industry. So not only do we do that, the fixed mount that's actually mounted to the coach, but we also have a line of portables.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Were
I didn't know
released
that
the last
either.
couple of years. Very quiet, remote start, things like that. The 4500 actually has a suitcase handle, so you can wheel it around pretty easily.
Oh, wow.
And those can be paralleled, so you can tie 2 4500s together to get more power and 50 amp plug.
That's plenty of power right there.
There you go. And then 2 2500s, obviously, you could get 5,000 peak.
And the onboard generators, the ones that are, what did you call them?
Fixed mount.
Fixed
so
mounted.
basically they're bolted to the vehicle,
Yeah.
so they're staying where they are.
If my RV didn't come with one, can I get one aftermarket installed?
It's a good question. So a lot of the towable units, especially fifth wheels, will come they call it gen ready.
Gen ready,
So it's
yeah.
pre-wired and ready to go. So then you just have to install the generator. In some situations, it might be a little more of a challenge. Like if that is not a gen ready set, you just got a little more work to figure that out to make sure you've got the right airflow, the right cabling, the right fuel supply, etc.
But it is something I would be able to get done probably.
Sure.
Through one of your 2,000 service people.
Sure. On the generator side, there's about 600 locations that are signed up as generator dealers, meaning they can file warranty, but there are other locations that can also help with an install.
Okay.
And then going back to those portable ones, Sean, that I did not know that you guys made, where are you selling them at?
So any of our Cummins sales and service locations, so the 200 and some locations that we have around the country, a good place to get them. I believe you can even buy them online at like shop.cummins.com.
Okay.
But yeah, they're really nice sets.
All right, I'll have to take a look at them. Sorry, I was on jumping with one more question. Jumping back to engines, I'm just curious, when you guys are working with some of these chassis manufacturers, are you telling them the size of the engine and they're building the chassis around your engine, or is it the other way around? Or are they building the chassis and they're like, all right, now you got to fit your engine in here?
Right. Generally, the chassis folks start first. They own that whole design, but we work with them through every step of the process. So as they select that engine, there's a lot of modeling that happens now with CAD models. So that way you know that it fits ahead of time. So we do a lot of that front end work with them. Even as new models are released, we're working with them. Then as they get the engine installed, we begin to work with them on sizing of the cooling system, the testing process. So we actually go through a full installation quality assessment with every installation that happens. So every Spartan chassis, every Freightliner chassis, and it has to meet certain standards that we have all as an industry come to know that customers expect.
Okay.
Pardon me if I have another dumb question, but
No such thing.
how do you pair, what transmissions do you guys pair with? Is that pretty universal, or
Good
do you have
question.
only certain transmissions that'll work with your motors?
So each market tends to have their standard. For the RV market, mostly what's behind our engines is Allison 6-speed transmission. Now, when you get outside of that, over-the-road trucks, a lot of those are going to automated mechanical transmissions.
Yeah.
I would say we've integrated with hundreds of different transmissions.
Oh,
we use a standard size flywheel housing, standard flywheels, so that they can adapt to the transmission that they're going into. And then when you go globally, you can imagine that there's a lot of other transmission manufacturers globally. So we try to take all that into consideration. So we'll have hundreds of different options for flywheels and flywheel housings.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
To make that work. So yeah, pretty much if it's a standard transmission, we can work with it.
I have another probably dumb question, but like maybe not aftermarket situations, but gearheads and people that like to tinker with their engines and things like that. Are there different tunings that people can buy? You know, I wouldn't imagine it's a good idea, but I know people like to tinker with engines. They like to change the air filters and try to add more horsepower and more. Like, what do you guys say about doing things like that?
So maybe a three-part answer. So just understand when these things are released, a lot of thought went into it. So the sizing of the air filter for the maintenance interval that's recommended, what coolant was selected based on the maintenance intervals and how easy it is to find those replacement coolants. So number one, understand that a lot of work went into that. And so even though there are a lot of aftermarket companies that think that they might have a better bell or whistle, a lot of work went into what we did. So that's probably the first thing.
Okay.
You mentioned chips or tuners. The EPA might consider those not to be a good idea, if you know what I mean. Now, what I will say is we do have different calibrations for different horsepower. So when I mentioned the L9 380, 400 and 450, that's all the same engine hardware, but it has a different calibration.
Okay.
So those are all fully certified calibrations, so we feel comfortable with using those. Plus, they've been tested at those limits so that you know you'll get reliable service. The third thing is we know that there are enthusiasts out there, so people with Land Cruisers or Jeeps. So we actually came up with a crate engine program with a little 2.8 liter engine.
Oh, really?
So you can repower your Jeep. It comes with a lot of the stuff you would need, the harnessing, the engine, drop ship to your place, and then you can work with an installer or buy the mounting adaptations and the cooling system modifications to install it.
That's pretty cool. What year Jeeps?
I don't remember the exact years of the program where it's eligible. It's on our website. And, if you just use a browser to say Cummins Repower, it'll pull up the information on the 2.8, how to order it, the specs. So about 161 horsepower and I'm trying to remember the torque, 320 foot-pounds of torque.
Oh, that's great for a Jeep.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
with a Jeep, you might not need to use the first three gears.
So it's kind of like a baby Cummins.
Yeah.
Essentially 2.8. That's a nice size.
Yeah, that's great.
And we've built thousands of those. I mean, in different countries. There's in other countries that engine's actually used in SUVs, different emission standards, et cetera.
Okay.
So this would be for older Jeeps and Land Cruisers. I just don't remember the cutoff year.
So for people that own an RV with a Cummins engine, what's like the number one or two tip you can give them to keep that performance up to par?
I would say number one, come to my seminar tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and we'll go through all the maintenance and operation.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So I forget, I think it's in seminar 1. You can stop by our display here between the two lakes. and ask any question you want. We do not have the correct lottery numbers.
Okay.
Just that one's off the table. But you can go to Cummins.com. There are a lot of articles, just interest. For example, we had a big announcement last week about renaming our new power business unit. So we are working on battery electric powertrains. We've already sold hundreds of them into various applications, refuse, mini excavators, buses. So we're working toward the future of battery electric.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. But I think that's all of our questions for today.
Okay.
Chris, unless there's something we missed, you want to add anything before we let you get back to work?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity. I would like to drag this out so I don't have to stand in the display. But no, it's been great. You guys asked great questions, and happy to help whoever else has questions.
All right. I hope we get you back on the show for a full-length episode someday.
Okay.
Yeah,
It'd be great.
All right.
I'd be
Yeah.
happy to do that.
All
Great.
right.
Thanks so
fellas.
much.
Yeah. Thank you.
We want to thank Eric and Chris for their time. All the vendors at the FMCA show are very busy answering attendees' questions, and we are very thankful that they take the time out of their busy day to join us on the show. Hopefully, from listening to these episodes, you are getting a sense of what it is like to attend the FMCA show and the advantages of being there in person, like getting diagnostics on your battery or powertrain systems, and getting answers to your questions from the men and women directly involved with these companies. And again, before you go, please jump on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. We would really appreciate the support. Take care and safe travels. Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. With the complexity of all the systems in an RV, I always say it's not if something's going to break, but a matter of when is something going to break. That is why I think an extended warranty for RVs is so important. We first interviewed wholesale warranties back in 2019 and immediately became impressed with how their policies worked, such as you can take your RV to any licensed repair shop, including mobile repairs. They also have personalized service plans, making sure you are getting the right policy for your needs. And if you think your RV is too old for a policy, you might be surprised to hear that RVs up to 20 years old can still be approved for a policy. That is more age lenient than most RV parks I've stayed at. Go to wholesalewarranties.com/beyond the wheel or click the link down below in our show notes to get your free quote today.